I have so much shit happening in my life at the moment. I need some joy. I need some comfort. I need some vibes. We will be spinning a wheel to determine my next read, but this is a specific TBR game that I've had in mind for quite a while, actually. So this is based on the Archive of Our Own homepage. You can mark a fic for later. Don't want to read this right now, I'll mark it for later. But then on the homepage, they ask, okay, is it later already? And then they show you 3 random, I don't know how random it truly is, but 3 random fics from your marked for later list. I have a specific way of usually going through this. I do this when I don't have a specific fandom I'm in the mood for or something I'm really into. So I kind of use it as a way to clear out my marked for later list, or in this case my to be read list. So it gives me 3 options, and the only way you can sort of say refresh the page is by removing something from your marked for later in whichever way. So that's by either by reading it, sometimes I do this for fics where I just delete it when I realize it's not something I'm particularly interested in at this point. It's just not something I want to read anymore. Then I'll just delete it from my marked for later. In that case, that will be like a DNF. I can read 1, 2, or 3, all 3 of the options, or I can also sort of say refresh the randomization by adding something else to my TBR list. But if you know me, I also don't really add a lot of things to my TBR list. I really don't. I am very selective. I say selective as if I don't have 280 fucking options on my TBR list right now. So that is like the odd case where I'll have to go like searching for something I really want to add to my TBR to refresh the list. Let's hope it doesn't get to that. See what our first of 3 options is. Spin, 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 spin. I can't even see. Like, there's so much on this wheel that I can't see. Okay, I feel like I need to make notes. So first we have the 13th tale. Let's see. Again, I literally can't even see. But biased. Okay. Ooh, this one's a good one. Okay, final one. I can't see. Never Let Me Go. Okay, so since I wanted to do an audiobook of Biased, I don't think that's on the table for right now. So that one's not going to be it. But the 13th tale and Never Let Me Go, I'm not feeling pulled towards them. So the 13th tale is essentially about this author who apparently has written a bunch of different versions of her story. So she has always lied about her history, about her past, but now that she's old, she wants to kind of tell the truth. So we're following, I think, her and this other lady that's writing the biography, and I think it's kind of like you don't know if she's telling the truth or not. Don't know how I feel about that. And then Never Let Me Go, from what I can understand, seems to be quite a dark story as well. Like, it's apparently, I think, following our narrator, she's kind of revisiting her memories, but I think, as far as I can understand, there's a sinister undertone. Like, there's, so to say, the reality and then her recollection of what's happening, her normalization of what was happening, and we don't really know what the truth was in regards to her memories. So both of them kind of feel like they're dealing with truth. I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know. But honestly, even if I do DNF one of them, that counts as a reset for my choice of 3. So then I can pull another 3 to choose from. So I think I might try out each, like maybe read like the first chapter or so of each, maybe sense the vibes, see how I'm feeling. Okay, so I lied to you. I did not read either, what was it, Never Let Me Go or the 13th tale. I decided to pick up Biased. I decided to pick up the ebook. I'm learning new things. I'm having, I don't want to say fun. Fun is not necessarily the right word, but it's been really interesting. Okay, so essentially this book is written by a academic sociologist, psychologist, who's done a lot of research when it comes to the way that bias, especially racial bias, affects the way that you treat the people around you. There's been some interesting insights. Like, I think the one thing that she said, she was like, representation, like even if there's a character on TV, a black character on TV that is a positive representation, because of the way that the white actors that work with the character subconsciously react to them, shows that bias and like perpetuates that bias in ways that you don't necessarily realize. I thought that was quite interesting. It's interesting because the book is heavy, but also, honestly, all of the options were heavy. But this one, because it is more factual, I don't want to say it's less heavy. It's definitely been heavy. It did almost make me cry at one point as well. It does speak especially about the policing in America and the way that black people are specifically targeted and are more likely to be arrested, handcuffed, shot. So that's heavy. That is heavy, and that is sitting with me. But I'm wondering how in-depth it's going to be, more just in terms of, because there was this thing where she like mentioned like how much of who you are is bias. We put a large emphasis on our personalities and our feelings and the way that we view things, the way that we act, to determine who we are as people. And I'm quite curious to know if she will be delving into that and speaking about that connection between the self and the bias. But I'm enjoying it. So the other books I was talking about, not happening. It's not happening, love. I've already re-added the other books to the spin the wheel, so they are up for grabs again. They are allowed to kind of be picked again in my pool of choices, but let's kind of hope they don't get picked. But also I have so many books on my want to read that it's kind of insane. Anywho, I've finished Biased by, what's her name? I think her surname is like Engelbrecht or something. It feels very Afrikaans actually. But she did explain how she got that surname, like how her grandparents got that surname. Not the point. I finished the book Biased by Jennifer L. Eberhardt. So thoughts and feelings. I don't really have a rating. It is non-fiction. I think it's a very important, first step in recognizing the bias that everyone holds, even subconsciously, like even no matter how like liberal or open-minded you may think you are, because of how prevalent prejudice is in society and the way that our brains absorb everything that's happening around us. It was very interesting to read about. Even like some of them are really shocking ways in which bias kind of shows itself. But yeah, like I said, it does feel very much like a first step. At the end, she did kind of talk about how to address bias and how bias can be averted and how you can deal with that. But I think that's like a further whole book. I think it was really well written. I think it was really easy to read as well. Like every time I read, I could sit for like a really long time and absorb. But I think it's something you want from a non-fiction, because non-fiction, there's this idea, especially with me, that non-fiction is going to be dry, it's going to be boring, it's going to like, you're really going to have to slog through it. But this was really like, it felt approachable in a way. While it does talk about a ton of studies that have been done, because there aren't any like footnotes or anything interrupting the text itself, it doesn't feel overly academic in a way that makes it a struggle to read. But yeah, some of the studies especially, I would be very interested to see them done in a South African context, because Black people are the majority in South Africa. So I really wonder how that would affect skew the data that they would be able to collect. But also, I don't know how much it would affect, because at the same time, South Africa is a very prejudiced country, and it is something that is still extremely present in society. But yeah, so I've finished a book. That means I can pull 3 other books to decide from. Okay, first pull. So many, it's so many, bro. Rouge. Let's spin again. Rouge, I can't remember that. Actually, I think I do. Isn't it by Mona Awad? I think so. Anyways. Parable of the Sower. Ooh. Okay, one more. Heated Rivalry. Interesting. But obviously I'd have to read the first one before reading Heated Rivalry. Please. So let's put Game Changers. And that is on my priority list for 2026. Let's check out what each book is about and then we can decide. I want to say together, but it will be my decision. And my decision only. Rouge by Mona Awad. So this seems to be kind of a gothic retelling, like a fairy tale retelling. No, it's kind of horror. I know it's a little bit weird. I know it apparently deals with the beauty industry. I think the main character's mother died and there's suspicious circumstances, so she kind of joins the spa cult that her mother was a part of to try and figure out what was happening. Don't know how I'm feeling about that. It's not really pulling me, and I think if I'm reading a Mona Awad book, I think I'd prefer to read Bunny first, just because that's the one that sticks in my mind when I think about Mona Awad. Then we have Parable of the Sower, oh my god, Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, and this is a dystopian story. It's kind of this trek to safety, but mainly what I've heard about this is that it feels very reflective of the current political landscape, even though it was written in or published in 1993. Octavia E. Butler kind of predicted a lot of what could happen in a future United States. Then Game Changers by Reid, an interconnected series focused around hockey players. So I think this first book is about Scott, a hockey player, and then he meets a smoothie barista. What is it called? A juice bar barista, and kind of they fall in love, but there's the friction kind of comes in with the fact that the hockey player Scott is closeted, because it would affect the way the sports industry treats him. I'm not sure what I'm in the mood for. I think I'm leaning towards Parable of the Sower the most. Game Changer I do have an audiobook for, but at this point I'm listening to another audiobook, so I'd like to finish that before introducing any other audiobooks. Honestly, I might even try and go for Rouge and then see if it's a DNF, because if it is a DNF then I can re-roll. I don't know. I think I'm going to try out Rouge and Parable of the Sower and then check in with you again. I've heard I said that last time and then I read the one I didn't even contemplate choosing. But I don't think that's going to happen this time. So I'm currently doing reading sprints with Gavin. I tried out Rouge. I think I'm gonna soft DNF it. I'm just not in a mood, in a state for it. Okay, now it's just not the time. I was watching, who was it? Ali from Ali Does Read. She recently started reading the Game Changer book as well, and she said that the audiobook, she did not like the audiobook at all, so that made me a little bit hesitant. So I was like, if the audiobook sucks, I might as well just read the ebook. So that's what I started doing. I'm now about 14% of the way through. Smut is already happening. I'm like in the middle of a smut scene right now. Not even joking. Okay, so anyways, we have the two characters, the hockey player and then the smoothie barista. Especially at the start, it's just repeated so many times that he is a smoothie maker, that he works at a smoothie bar.
and it's just constantly repeated. Like, that seems to be the critical point of its character, and I'm just like, it's not that serious. It's not that serious, love. Some of the dialogue has been a little bit cringy, which has been funny. It seems relatively light-hearted, so I think I'm just going to go forth with this one. I did consider reading the Parable of the Sower, but I read like a single sentence and I was like, I know this is going to be too heavy for me right now, and I don't have the brain power for that. What else? Just in terms of Rouge by Mona Awad, I know it is commenting on the beauty industry, but oh my god, the way that this woman like lists out in fucking detail. She's like listing out everything that she's using on her face and all the products she's using, and it got a little bit repetitive, and I was literally, I think, only like 14% of the way through. But the mystery is quite interesting. The mother character that died mysteriously, she seems to be a very intriguing person. Want to get to that eventually, but I just think now, I think it's also like almost 400 pages as well, and I don't want a long book right now. So Game Changers it is, okay? Moving to Game Changers. I will update you if there need be updates.
I'm halfway through. This is essentially just porn. I want to say it's just porn, don't get me wrong, it explores some themes, but it's mostly just porn, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's not even especially well written. Yeah, I don't know, it's Easter, or Easter's just passed. Like, literally on a fundamental structural sentence level, the writing is extremely basic. It is subject, verb, object. Constantly. I don't think I've seen this woman write a single passive sentence, but also I'm not necessarily looking out for it. It's just that's the way it feels. There was like one page, not even a full page, like my phone screen's page, that had sentences starting with the word he. I think there was like 12 of them. I counted. Okay, I was highlighting, and all I could think was that my English teacher would have torn me to shreds if I started every single sentence with the same exact word. Bitch, I couldn't even start 2 consecutive sentences with the same word without it being like noted and marked and being like, you have to keep your sentences, you have to vary the way that you write to keep it engaging. And I don't think that this writer is doing that kind of at all. It just feels very basic in terms of writing. In terms of the smut, it's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's not engaging. It's not a sensory experience in a way that I know really good smut can be written, that makes you kind of, it makes it enjoyable. Let's be real. Let's be honest. I don't know. It just feels very like, okay, we're going through the notes, and don't get me started. Don't get me started on the dirty talk between these 2 characters. Don't get me started. Oh, it's so bad. At this point, I think for the latter half of the book, I will be skipping these smut scenes purely just because they feel unnecessary. I can't do that to myself. In terms of the romance between them, it's feeling very fast, and there's been like a couple of cute moments, like maybe 2 or 3 cute moments, but not enough to have me be overly invested in their relationship and be rooting for them and wanting them to be together. And then in terms of like other themes, it does discuss like being closeted, especially in sports, kind of the impact that has on a relationship. It's not handled with any kind of nuance. It's not really deeply explored. It's just kind of written and bloop on the page, and then we move past it. Oh, but I did Google. I did a search throughout the ebook, because especially during the smut scenes, they use the word fuck and they will use the word yes so repetitively. Like, it's just like, fuck, yes, that on repeat. So I searched how many times the word fuck appears in the book. It was 105. The word yes appears 106 times. And that just feels a little bit excessive. That just feels a little bit repetitive. Spice it up a little bit. I'm hoping that the writer develops as a writer as the series progresses, because clearly this is the first one in the series. This is like the start of, I'm assuming, what she published. I hope that it does get better as she's written a lot more and as she's published more. So I am still going to be reading Heated Rivalry eventually. Like, this isn't going to stop me from reading the series. Okay, I'm reading that book and I'm watching that show. Final rating about a 2.5. I think the second half was a little bit better, but I think that's because there was a lot more plot. When the author does talk about hockey, I know nothing about hockey. So when she was talking about hockey, it just flew over my head. What else? I think the big emotional relationship reveal, that's something I really love reading about, especially in fan fiction. Like, just being out and proud and spontaneous and being joyous in the way that you show your love to your partner. It felt a little bit forced. I'm very excited to see it done on the show though, because I've seen clips of it and it looks so cute. It didn't hit quite the way I wanted it to. I enjoyed the coming out to friends and family, like that small relationship reveal, a lot more. Like, that felt a lot more intimate and meaningful. Regardless, I think I've heard a lot of people praise the way that the show does Scott and Kip's relationship and their chemistry, and people just enjoy the way that the stories portrayed on the show a lot more. So I'm looking forward. So 2.5, it was quite average. I had fun, but it's not a book I hated, but it was okay. Now, because I'm going to bed and I like reading an ebook before going to bed, we will be spinning again. Okay, first spin. I need something to write this down. Wait, I'm missing it. It's something blue. No, red. Diary of a Void. As far as I'm aware, I think this is Japanese fiction, and I think it has something to do with pregnancy. Let's spin again. Something yellow? Oh god. Oh god, no. Okay, that's not happening. Let's see what our third option is. Something good. We came to welcome you. Ooh, I think this is a horror. Let's go over the options. I think I know which one I'm picking already. First one, Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi. Like I said, it was a translated Japanese fiction. It's quite short. That's another reason why I'm leaning towards this one. It's essentially about this woman who pretends to be pregnant to kind of gain favor. And I think she kind of loses the plot a little bit and doesn't really recognize that you're not pregnant, love. But it seems really interesting. I think the title comes from the fact that she's keeping a diary of the stages of her pregnancy, but she's not really pregnant. So it's the diary of the empty void inside her womb. That's so dramatic. Anywho, 100%, I think I'm going to start this one. Let's just go over the other options in case you're curious. Words of Radiance is the second book in the Words of Radiance is the second book in the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson. So I've read the first one, but I can't remember how it ended. There was like kind of a twist at the ending. I was flabbergasted. Okay. It was this I was listening to it via audiobook, and if you know this audiobook, you know it's long. But I was listening to this with my dad, and we were like kind of taking our sweet time with it. It probably took about a year to finish this, no joke. But I've forgotten the end now. I've forgotten a lot of the characters. So to read the second book, I would have to reread the first book. That's my plan, ultimately, when I'm revisiting the series. And I just
don't have the capacity for that right now. It's the series is long. Each book is chunky. We're not doing that. Then we have We Came to Welcome You by Vincent Tirado. It's this lesbian couple that moves into a new neighborhood, and all of the neighbors are suspiciously friendly, like I think to an absurd degree. And it's a horror, so spooky shit happens, things aren't completely right. I think I would have went with this one if the premise of Diary of a Void did not intrigue me this much.
Good morning. So I read like half of the book last night. I'm speeding through it. It's quite a short book. I'm having fun. I'll probably finish it today. Maybe. It depends. A lot's happening today. Like my mom's coming to visit. She's bringing my bed. Thank God. You don't understand. I'm not lying in my own bed right now. Like a lot of the furniture and stuff with the move is like coming so delayed, like in bits and pieces. So yeah, she's coming today with some of my stuff. I still have a lot of other stuff to unpack as well, so that's kind of my priority for today. Oh, and I did my nails yesterday. Look. What else? Do you see that scar? Yeah, that's from glass. I tried to catch a glass that was falling, and then it fucked up my hands. Maybe I should just update you about the book. So, this woman, she's the only woman in her office. So people kind of in her office give her all of the womanly duties, like those stereotypical, like they need to clean up after everyone and a lot of the like administrative work. But she's just kind of sick of it. So she just like, to avoid doing it, she's like, I can't. The smell is bothering me. It's going to trigger my morning sickness. And then boom, she's now in this pregnancy ruse. She just accepts this. She's just like, yeah, this is happening for the next 9 months. Like without even a doubt. She's just like, yeah, this is my life for the next 3 months. I'm pregnant. I'm pregante. I got a bed. Let's go. Anywho, so I finished reading Diary of a Void. Okay, final rating 3.75. So thoughts. I think it has a lot of commentary about feminism and specifically women in the workplace, and it's expected of them to pick up a lot of the housekeeping or the administrative work when that's not necessarily a part of their job title. I don't think it went, as far as I wanted it to go in terms of her losing the plot. Like, I wanted her to be a little bit extra crazy, but I think she's a little bit more matter of fact. She does lose the plot somewhat, trust. Not as far as I think I'd want her to. But also, I'm just like, can you not adopt? Is that not possible? If you really want a child, just adopt a child. Anyways, yeah, so there's extra commentary about motherhood and specifically women's roles in motherhood. There's like a lot of symbolism about the fact that the way that we construe meaning with, I think, children when it comes to the purpose of our lives. I think it's strange because our main character, her life feels quite empty. So she's trying to fill it with this baby, but it's not real. So her life is in fact still empty, and it's a little bit too much for me to be analyzing now in this because I haven't thought it through all the way. I don't know if this is a spoiler. It might be a spoiler, so skip ahead if you're a little bit sensitive. But like, no one ever found out that she was lying about it. I want that. I want the complete like destruction of her delusion. But I feel like that would have been fun to see. I finished reading at like 1 a.m. last night. I was still in the mood to read, so I like rolled again on my phone, and I rolled the Inheritance Games, the Bee Sting, and Ordinary Wonder Tales, a collection of essays. I am not in the mood for any of these.
Okay, but I remembered that I have an audiobook that I sort of want to read, but I got it and it's not on my want to read list. So I can add this now to my want to read list to reset my choices. Smart. But yeah, I've noticed, like, me doing this, the total of books is still going to be standing at 274. Like with the first book, after I read the first book, I added Morning Star by Pierce Brown onto the list because it's a part of a series that I do eventually want to read, so I wanted to kind of add it into the mix, add it into the chance that I can roll it. Then with Game Changer, what I actually rolled was Heated Rivalry, the second book, so not the first book. So the second book is still on the thing, because the first book was never on my want to read list, because the second book was my priority. So that did not affect the tally, the total. Now I'm adding another book after reading the book, so the tally is still 274.
I'm sorry for the shit angle, but it's gonna have to do for now.
First spin. The bounce. Oh, that's not happening. Fuck, does that count as one? The thing is, I can't even read number 6. I haven't even read number 4. I don't know. Let's see what the other two options are. If the other two options are good enough, I think I might like let this be an entry. No, I'm not letting this be an entry. Fuck that. God. Okay, Mistborn is now one of the entries. Goodness. Spin again. The Poet X. Okay. Could work. Okay, let's see what the third option is. Hell's Heart. I've definitely fucked something up. Passenger and You Did Nothing Wrong. See, I think fate is trying to tell me that I should not be doing Mistborn, you know, because I now have two other options laid bare before me. Anywho, so the first one was Passenger. That one was recommended to me by a friend. And then You Did Nothing Wrong, I think is a new release. Mistborn's out. Okay, so our three options is Poet X, Passenger, and You Did Nothing Wrong. Okay, I can see what went wrong. The first few books have repeated themselves. Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, I think. It's about this young girl, Xiomara. She's Spanish, half black, so she's mixed race. And I know it's written in verse, so I've heard very good things about the audiobook. It's young adult, which is something I'm not particularly leaning towards at the moment. I think it's following her falling in love with a boy, but her mom is very against it and very religious. So it's more just about the main character finding her voice and learning to be a little bit more confident in herself. I think I already know, just by the way, what I want to read. Okay, and then the next one is Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. So this is the one my friend recommended to me. And it's apparently about this woman that time travels. She's traveled back into time onto this man's ship. So she's a passenger on this man's ship. And she's apparently the key to finding some fortune for this one family. I don't know. It seems fun. I love a time travel story. But the winner for today is going to have to be You Did Nothing Wrong by C.J. Drews. You Did Nothing Wrong is a haunted house story. It's about this mother and her autistic child. She marries this perfect man. And as they're doing renovations to their new house, the boy says that it's hurting the house. Anyways, but it's a new release less than a month ago. So it came out the 17th of March. The major reason why I want to read this is because it's a new release. I wasn't expecting this to be pulled for this game. So I was planning on reading this at another stage within the next few weeks. But since it's been pulled, it will now be chosen. I'm about a quarter of the way through with the book, so let's get into it. I think it's dealing with a lot of complicated emotions about motherhood, specifically being a mother to a neurodivergent child. The actions of the child itself feel very realistic to me, but in the capacity that I've had experience with autistic children, the mother had some very complicated feelings around her child, but it's a little bit difficult for me to feel for her. Like, I think because this is a horror, you have something that is quite normal, or the way that you can feel so totally overwhelmed in the sense that you have to take care of this child every single day and the complicated stuff that comes with that. But it feels a little bit amped up. Like, I feel like there's a lot about the way that she feels and the way that she's behaving that could be relatable, but I feel like it's amped up. Feels like we're going a little bit over the line. So she refuses to acknowledge that her child has autism and therefore needs specialized care. And it feels like because she's refusing to acknowledge this, there was this line where she was like, I'm just trying my best. And all I can think is, it might be your best, but that is not what's best for him. I'm feeling so like mad on behalf of this child, because it feels like she's refusing to get him the help that he needs because of a sense of pride. She sees that this as something that is wrong with him, and that is now a reflection on her as a mother. It means that she has now failed as a mother, and there's a lot of complicated feelings around that, and about not feeling loved and appreciated by her child. But he's autistic, so he shows care in a different way. Like, he's not going to just hug her. And because this is a horror and there's something wrong with the fucking house, he's like scared of the house for whatever reason, we don't know yet. But he clings to her then. Like, she's now she feels this love, but it's not love, he's scared out of his fucking mind. I don't know, it's very complicated. That makes it an extremely interesting read so far. But then the haunted house aspect, we don't really know what's happening because we're not getting a lot of information. Say hello. Say hello. He's just sleepy. Okay, I'm in quite an agitated state, so don't know why I'm choosing now to update you, but it is what it is. So, I've finished You Did Nothing Wrong by C.G. Drews. I think I gave it 4 stars. I finished this book 2 weeks ago. Like, it's been a while. Okay, I have gotten my cat in this time. I'm back home. I've started working again. I've been busy with assignments. Things have been hectic. The main character annoyed me a lot. A lot of the reviews were talking about the toxic relationship between the two people. I think that only really comes into play around halfway. Overall, I feel so bad for the child that is involved in this. This is a horror book, so obviously, like, horrific things are happening, but I just feel so bad for him. He deserves so much better. And oh my god, the ending. I think it's revealed, I can't remember now, because it is kind of this struggle, like, is the main character just crazy or is it actually haunted? And I think it's revealed at the end, but I honestly, like, I've forgotten specifics by this point, so I can't actually remember. But I enjoyed the end. My main issue was just, it is really uncomfortable being in this woman's mind. Like, she is really obsessive. She is really just a little bit, like, too intense to be comfortable reading with. But that is kind of like the point. But that does make it not necessarily the best
Like it's not an enjoyable read, but it is engaging and it is interesting. At one point it did kind of lag a bit as well, where I was just like, okay guys, just get to the point. There was this like pass in the middle where I was just like, yo, move it along, like give me something more. It just felt like it felt very repetitive with the type of tension we were dealing with at the start. I am deciding not to continue with this game. I think I'm sorted. I'm done. I have other things I want to read, and that's not going to fit into this. So I think I'm going to end the game here. Please leave suggestions down below for extra rules I can add, maybe a more concise or concrete way on how to end the game. Like maybe there's a certain amount of rounds. I don't know. Like any suggestions to kind of change or add to this game would be so fun. So let me know. So yeah, that's the end of the video. I think the variety of books that I was able to read with this game challenge thing was really interesting, but I had fun. Okay, and I will be doing this again. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you some other time. Bye!